He was 46 before Hollywood finally noticed him. What if I told you that one of Hollywood's biggest stars spent decades living a life that looked like complete failure? Imagine waking up every morning with a dream burning inside your heart, a dream so powerful that you refuse to let it die. But year after year, nothing changes. Bills keep coming. People around you become successful. Friends move ahead. And you keep waiting. Most people would quit. Most people would tell themselves, maybe this dream wasn't meant for me. But one man refused to believe that. Today, millions know him as one of the coolest actors in Hollywood. His voice is unforgettable. His confidence is unmatched. His movies have earned billions of dollars. But almost nobody talks about the painful road before the fame. There was a time when he wasn't walking on red carpets. He was simply trying to survive. There was a time when Hollywood didn't know his name. Casting directors ignored him. Producers overlooked him. Years passed, yet success never arrived. If you had met him during those years, you probably would have thought, this man will never make it. But life has a strange habit. Sometimes the people who look the farthest from success are actually standing only one step away from changing history forever. Tonight, you're about to discover why Samuel L. Jackson's story is not really about becoming famous. It's about refusing to quit when the world has already given up on you. And before this story ends, you may never look at failure the same way again.
Samuel Leroy Jackson was born on December 21, 1948, in Washington, D.C., but he grew up in Chattanooga, Tennessee. His childhood wasn't easy. His father was mostly absent from his life. His mother worked tirelessly to provide for the family. Money was limited. Opportunities were even fewer. Like many children growing up in difficult circumstances, Samuel had no idea that one day millions of people around the world would know his name. At first, acting wasn't even part of the plan. He entered college with completely different ambitions, but life often changes direction when we least expect it. One ordinary day, he accidentally walked into a theater class. It seemed like nothing, just another class, just another room. But that single moment quietly changed the course of his entire future. For the first time, he felt something different. On that stage, he wasn't just performing, he felt alive. He realized that acting wasn't simply entertainment, it was freedom, it was purpose, it was the one place where he truly belonged. But passion alone doesn't guarantee success. In fact, for Samuel, the hardest years were still waiting ahead. He would spend decades chasing a dream that refused to come true. There would be rejection, disappointment, personal battles, moments when almost everyone would have walked away, and yet he kept going. Because sometimes the greatest victories belong to the people who survive the longest.
But dreams don't become reality just because you want them badly. Sometimes they test you first. Samuel left college believing that talent and hard work would eventually open the right doors. Instead, he found himself standing in front of one closed door after another. Auditions came, then disappeared. Small theater performances paid almost nothing. Some days he wondered how he would pay the next bill. Other days he questioned whether Hollywood would ever know his name. Years kept passing. His friends began building careers. Some settled into stable jobs. Others gave up their dreams completely. Samuel watched all of it. And every time life pushed him backwards, he had one difficult decision to make: quit or continue. He chose to continue, not because it was easy,
because he couldn't imagine living a life where he never tried. But an even bigger battle was quietly growing inside him. It wasn't a lack of talent. It wasn't bad luck. It was something far more dangerous. He began struggling with addiction. At first, it didn't seem powerful enough to destroy his future. But addiction never announces its true intentions. It slowly steals your focus, your confidence, your discipline. Eventually, it begins stealing your dreams. There were moments when Samuel's career almost disappeared before it had even started. People around him worried. Some believed he would never recover. Others assumed his acting career was already over. Imagine spending years chasing success, only to realize your biggest enemy isn't outside. It's inside your own mind. Many people never escape that battle. Many dreams end right there. But Samuel's story was different, because sometimes the darkest chapter is only preparing you for the brightest one. He still didn't know it, but the decision he was about to make would save not only his career, it would save his life.
Everything changed when Samuel reached a moment that forced him to face reality. He looked at his life, his career, his future, and realized that if he continued on the same path, there might not be a future at all. Recovery wasn't easy. There was no overnight transformation, no magical morning where everything suddenly became perfect. Day after day, he had to rebuild himself, one decision at a time, one healthy habit at a time, one small victory after another. While other people were chasing fame, Samuel was first learning how to take control of his own life again. That became the foundation for everything that followed. Many people believe success begins with opportunity, but in Samuel's case, success began with discipline. As his life slowly became more stable, his performances became stronger. Directors started noticing something different. Not because he was suddenly famous, but because every role carried a level of honesty that couldn't be faked. Years of pain, years of rejection, years of survival were now becoming his greatest strength. Still, Hollywood wasn't handing him leading roles. He continued accepting small parts. Sometimes he appeared on screen for only a few minutes. Most audiences didn't remember his name, but the people making movies did. Every small role became another brick in a foundation that would eventually support one of Hollywood's greatest careers. The breakthrough was getting closer, much closer than anyone realized. But before the world finally recognized Samuel L. Jackson, one unexpected opportunity would change everything.
Sometimes, life changes because of one meeting, one phone call, one opportunity that almost never happens. For Samuel L. Jackson, that moment arrived after years of being overlooked. By then, he wasn't a young actor anymore. He had spent decades proving himself in small roles. Most people chasing Hollywood dreams would have already quit, but Samuel was still there, still working, still believing. Then came a role that finally made people stop and ask, who is that actor? His performance in Jungle Fever wasn't the biggest role in the movie, but it was unforgettable. He played the character with such raw emotion, such painful honesty, that audiences couldn't look away. Critics praised his performance. Hollywood suddenly realized something incredible. This wasn't a newcomer. This was a master who had been waiting patiently for the world to notice. For Samuel, it felt like the first ray of sunlight after a lifetime of storms. But he knew one great performance wasn't enough. He couldn't relax. He couldn't celebrate too early, because Hollywood has a short memory. If you stop improving, someone else quickly takes your place. So instead of becoming comfortable, he worked even harder.
He treated every script like it could be his last chance. Every audition, every rehearsal, every scene, he gave everything he had. And soon, someone very important noticed. A filmmaker known for changing careers forever. A director who had a gift for recognizing hidden greatness. His name was Quentin Tarantino. Neither of them knew it yet, but together they were about to create movie history.
When Quentin Tarantino was preparing his next film, he wanted actors who felt real, people with presence, people audiences could never forget. Samuel L. Jackson was exactly that. The film was called Pulp Fiction. No one expected it to become one of the most influential movies ever made. But when Samuel stepped in front of the camera as Jules Winfield, everything changed. The confidence, the voice, the intensity. Every scene demanded attention. Audiences around the world couldn't stop talking about him. After decades of waiting, the world finally knew his name. Think about that for a moment. He wasn't 25, he wasn't 30, he wasn't even 40. He was already in his mid-40s when the opportunity that changed his life finally arrived. Most people believe success has an expiration date. Samuel proved the opposite. Your biggest opportunity doesn't care how old you are. It only cares whether you're ready when it arrives. From that moment, Hollywood couldn't ignore him anymore. Movie offers started pouring in. Directors competed to work with him. The same industry that once overlooked him now saw him as one of its greatest talents. But Samuel never forgot the years when nobody believed in him, because those difficult years taught him something success never could. Patience creates strength. Rejection builds resilience, and every delay has the power to prepare you for something bigger. Still, the greatest chapter of his career was only beginning.
Success finally arrived, but Samuel L. Jackson had no intention of slowing down. Many actors spend years chasing one unforgettable role, then disappear. Samuel chose a different path. He believed that success wasn't a finish line, it was a responsibility. Every new movie, every new character was another chance to prove that his breakthrough wasn't luck, it was earned. Soon, he became one of the busiest actors in Hollywood. His face appeared everywhere. Action films, crime dramas, comedies, superhero movies. No matter the genre, Samuel brought something audiences couldn't ignore: authenticity. He wasn't trying to be someone else. He wasn't copying famous actors. He wasn't chasing trends. He embraced what made him different: his deep voice, his fearless confidence, his unmistakable presence. Those qualities became his greatest advantage. There's a powerful lesson hidden here. The things that make you different may be the exact things that make you unforgettable. Too many people spend their lives trying to fit in. Samuel built his career by standing out. Then came another opportunity, one that introduced him to an entirely new generation of fans: the Marvel Cinematic Universe. As Nick Fury, Samuel wasn't just playing another character. He became the man who connected an entire universe of superheroes. Millions of young fans who had never seen his older films now knew exactly who he was. Imagine that. After finally becoming famous in his 40s, he continued reinventing himself in his 60s. Most people stop growing after reaching success. Samuel kept evolving because he understood one simple truth: if you stop learning, you stop leading. Today, when people hear the name Samuel L. Jackson, They see confidence, success, awards, fame. But they rarely see the decades that came before it. They don't see the auditions that led nowhere, the nights filled with doubt, the battles he fought within himself, the years when almost nobody believed he would ever become a star. That's the dangerous illusion of success. People only notice the spotlight. They forget the darkness that came first. Samuel once said that he simply kept working. That may sound ordinary, but in reality it's extraordinary, because consistency is rare. Most dreams don't fail because people lack talent. They failed because people give up too soon. Samuel refused to let temporary failure become a permanent decision. Think about your own life. How many times have you wanted to quit because results didn't come fast enough? 1 month? 1 year? Maybe 5 years? Samuel waited for decades, not because he enjoyed waiting, but because he believed that every day he improved, he was getting closer to the opportunity he couldn't yet see. That's what separates extraordinary people from ordinary ones. Extraordinary people keep preparing even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's applauding, even when success feels impossible, because they know something the world often forgets. Your preparation today may become tomorrow's breakthrough. And for Samuel, the greatest reward wasn't becoming famous, it was proving that persistence can outlast rejection. By the time Samuel L. Jackson became one of Hollywood's biggest stars, he had already learned a lesson that many people never discover. Success isn't about how fast you arrive. It's about whether you refuse to stop walking. Think about it. If Samuel had quit after 10 years, the world would have never known his name. If he had quit after 20 years, Hollywood would have lost one of his greatest actors. If he had believed the voices saying, "You're too old, your chance is gone, someone younger will replace you," then every legendary performance that inspired millions would have remained locked inside him forever. That's why his story is bigger than movies. It's proof that your timeline doesn't have to look like everyone else's. Some people bloom at 20, others at 30, and some, like Samuel, change their lives in their 40s. There is no universal clock for success. The only clock that matters is the one that keeps ticking while you continue moving forward. Today, Samuel L. Jackson has appeared in hundreds of films, become one of the highest-grossing actors in cinema history, and inspired countless people around the world. But if you asked him what mattered most, it probably wouldn't be the awards, or the money, or the fame. It would be the simple fact that he never allowed temporary setbacks to define the rest of his life. And maybe that's the lesson you needed to hear today, because somewhere, someone is about to give up on a dream that still has a future. Someone is convinced they're too old, too late, too forgotten. But if Samuel's journey teaches us anything, it's this: your story isn't over until you decide it's over. Now, close your eyes for just a moment. Imagine Samuel L. Jackson standing in front of a mirror when he was 45 years old. No Oscar, no worldwide fame, no blockbuster movies, no millions of fans. Just a man, still believing in a dream that the world had already dismissed. From the outside, it looked like he had waited too long. But life wasn't delaying his success. Life was preparing him for it. Because when his opportunity finally arrived, he wasn't just talented, he was experienced.
He was resilient. He had survived rejection. He had overcome personal struggles. He had learned patience. And those invisible victories became the foundation of every visible success that followed. That's why his story isn't really about Hollywood. It's about every person who's ever looked at their own life and whispered, "Maybe it's too late for me." No, it isn't. As long as you're still learning, still improving, still taking one step forward, your story is still being written. Samuel L. Jackson didn't become legendary because success came quickly. He became legendary because he refused to let failure write the final chapter. Remember this: your age is not your limitation. Your past is not your prison. Your failures are not your identity. The only thing that truly decides your future is whether you choose to keep going. Years from now, people won't remember how many times life knocked you down. They'll remember whether you stood back up. So if you're chasing a dream today, don't compare your timeline with anyone else's. Some flowers bloom in spring, some bloom in summer, and some bloom much later. But when they finally bloom, the entire world notices. Samuel L. Jackson is living proof that greatness doesn't always arrive early. Sometimes it arrives exactly when you're strong enough to carry it. So wherever you are in your journey, don't quit, don't surrender, don't let temporary disappointment steal a permanent dream. Because the opportunity that changes your life may already be closer than you think. And one day, someone else might hear your story and find the courage to keep going because you never gave up. Success has no expiration date. It only belongs to those who refuse to stop.